And it's Spiker story time once again. Today we're going to continue reading the Odyssey, and I have to read it off paper this time because my iPad's bad out of batteries. What are you going to do? Okay, so here's the story thus far. Odysseus and his crew, on their way home after 10 years at war, stumble upon the islands of the Cyclopes. Curious about the monsters, Odysseus takes a dozen of his best soldiers into one of their caves and waits. The Cyclops, upon returning, seals the door with a massive stone slab and disregards Odysseus's pleas for civility. The Cyclops demands to know where the rest of Odysseus's men are. And that's what happened. Odysseus is like, hey, let's go to this island and get some goats to eat. And the guys are like, all right, cool. And he's like, hey, man, look at these monsters. They're pretty rough. And the guys are like, yeah, they're pretty rough monsters. And then he's like, let's go meet them. And they're like, maybe that's not such a good idea. And he's like, no, I want to go meet them. So they go meet them. And the monster, when he comes home, pretty much says, I'm a monster. I'm gonna be pretty mean. So let's find out what he says. In response to the monster saying, where are the rest of your guys? He thought he'd find out, but I saw through this and answered with a ready lie. My ship, Poseidon Lord, who sets the earth a-tremble, broke it up on the rocks at your land's end. A wind from seaweed served him, drove us there. We are survivors, these good men and I. So, the epic hero Odysseus, number 10. In the previous passage, Odysseus lies to the Cyclops. He says that his ship has been smashed into the rocks. Which quality of an epic hero is displayed in Odysseus's decision to lie? Why do you say so? Well, we talked last time about what the qualities of an epic hero are. They're super strong, they're super smart, they are able to deal with the gods and with all the supernatural forces. They're superheroes, right? Which quality of those is being displayed when Odysseus realizes he needs to lie to the Cyclops about where his ship is? Neither reply nor pity came from him, but in one stride he clutched at my companions and caught two in his hands like squirming puppies to beat their brains out, spattering the floor. Then he dismembered them and made his meal, gaping and crunching like a mountain lion. Everything, innards, flesh, and marrow bones. We cried aloud, lifting our hands to Zeus, powerless, looking on at this, appalled. But Cyclops went on, filling up his belly with man-flesh and great gulps of whey, then lay down like a mast among his sheep.
Yeah, so, like I said, I know you got a boat full of dudes, and I want to eat them because eating dudes is just like eating Doritos, only they're like squishy Doritos that scream. Yeah, so, where's the boat?
Yes, our ship, crashed. Yeah, and these other men and I are the only survivors. Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Odysseus, it's not nice to tell lies.
Hey, look at that. You got some more dudes with you. It's dinner time!
Oh, goodness.
That was great. Man, I love eating people. Yeah, well, I guess I'm gonna go to bed now. Good night.
My heart beat high now with the chance of action, and drawing the sharp sword from my hip, I went along his flank to stab him where the midriff holds the liver. I had touched the spot when sudden fear stayed me. If I killed him, we perished there as well, for we could never move his ponderous doorway slab aside, so we were left to groan and wait for morning. In other words, Cyclops insults the men and tells them he does not fear Zeus. That's where the last one ended. He said, I don't give a hoot about Zeus or about you or about anything because I'm so mean and nasty. And then he says, where's your boat? And Odysseus is like, well, my boat crashed and we're the only guys left. And then Cyclops is like, okay. And he picks up 2 guys and just eats them alive. And we're described that he, rips out their guts and he eats those and he sucks on their bones. And it's really kind of gross if you really think about it. And the picture that's here in the sway, if you're seeing it, it's also kind of gory. He's got that dude's head in his mouth. It's nasty. So, in other words, Cyclops insults the men and tells them he does not fear Zeus. Cyclops asks where their ship is. Odysseus knows the monster will destroy the ship, so he lies, saying the ship has sunk. Cyclops catches 2 men and eats them, then the monster goes to sleep. Question number 11. Why does Odysseus not kill the sleeping monster with his sword? It says so right here. We'll read it again. If I killed him, we perish there as well, for we could never move his ponderous doorway slab aside. And remember that the word ponderous means really big. Why didn't he kill the monster with his sword?
So, I guess we could say we all saw that coming.
Whew. Oh, all right, men. The beast has gone back to sleep. It's epic hero time! Here I go!
Wait just a gosh darn minute. You had a sword? And you, didn't try to fight him before he ate one of us?
Well, I thought things were going well up until then, actually.
They weren't.
Anyway, I'm just going to stab him now and...
If we stab him, who's gonna move that rock?
Yeah, that big rock over there, the one that the Cyclops specifically uses to keep his little sheepies from getting out? We definitely can't move it.
You make a good point, then. Let's sit down and think.
When the young dawn with fingertips of rose lit up the world, the Cyclops built a fire and milked his handsome ewes, all in due order, putting the sucklings to the mothers. Then, his chores being dispatched, he caught another brace of men to make his breakfast, and whisked away his great door slab to let the sheep go through. But he behind reset the stone as one will cap a quiver. There was a din of whistling as the Cyclops rounded his flock to higher ground. Then stillness.
Hey, good morning, little snacky dudes. How'd y'all sleep?
Well, we didn't really sleep much at all, since we're afraid of being eaten by you.
Yeah, well, I got an idea. Let's cut the tension with a little, joke. What did the monster say to the helpless prisoner?
I don't know. What did the monster say to the helpless prisoner?
He said this. What a good joke. That was such a mean and nasty thing to do. I'm so evil. That was great. Okay, I got stuff to do. All right, sheepies, let's go outside and do your sheepy stuff and milk you and all that other stuff.
I hate you.
All right, sheepies, it's time to go out and pee-pee and do whatever and eat what we got to do. All right, little sheepies, go on, get out. Here we go. I'll put my big rock back so my little snacky dudes don't get out. All right, here we go.
And now I pondered how to hurt him worst, but if Athena granted what I prayed for. So a brace, that means 2 more guys. So Cyclops wakes up in the morning, grabs 2 more guys and eats them alive. And, I mean, just take a minute to think about that. You go into this cave, and then there's this monster, and he's just like picking up your dudes and eating them. You guys have all seen horror movies. Think about how that would look if that was in a movie. It would be really, really gross and nasty and disgusting. So for number 12, we are going to reread the last passage and list each of the events in your own words. I kind of already went over it. the few things that the Cyclops does, but I want you to go through and put them in your own words. We have 4 spaces here, A, B, C, and D, but as long as you get the couple of highlights here, that'd be great. Here are the means I thought would serve my turn. A club or staff lay there along the fold, an olive tree, felled green, and left to season for Cyclops' hand. I'm going to throw in there that what that means is the Cyclops had cut down a tree, and it was still green, which means it still had a lot of moisture in it. And he had left it to season, in other words, to dry out, so that it would make a really good club or weapon for the Cyclops. And left to season for Cyclops' hand. And it was like a mast, a lugger of 20 oars broad in the beam, a deep sea-going craft might carry. So long, so big around, it seemed. Now I chopped out a 6-foot section of this pole and set it before my men, who scraped it. And when they had it smooth, I hewed it again to make a stake with pointed end. I held this in the fire's heart and turned it, toughening it, then hid it well back in the cavern, under one of the dung piles in profusion there. Now the time came to toss for it, who ventured along with me? Whose hand could bear to thrust and grind that spike in Cyclops' eye when mild sleep had mastered him? As luck would have it, the men I would have chosen won the toss, 4 strong men, and I made 5 as captain.
You know, Odysseus, this is a bad time.
We're epic heroes, men. Athena will grant us a way out of this.
Men?
Look at this. The goddess Athena has granted us a great big stick. Yes. And she has given me a plan. Let's sharpen this stick. Hold this, please. There you go. One moment. Ha-ha. Hold it steady while I sharpen this stick. Yes, okay. Hold it steady. That'll do. Now let's hide this big sharp stick. He'll never check that pile of poop over there. What a brilliant spot. Thank the gods for the poop. Let's go. Okay, hide it in the poop.
So, in other words, the men spend the night in the cave. The next morning, Cyclops milks his sheep, eats 2 more men, and then leaves the cave. He moves the great stone to block the door. Planning to blind the monster, Odysseus sharpens the end of a long pole. 4 men are chosen to help Odysseus use the pole. So we've made a big spear, and we're going to try and stab the monster's eye out. At evening came the shepherd with his flock, his woolly flock. The rams as well this time entered the cave. By some sheep-herding whim, or a god's bidding, none were left outside. He hefted his great boulder into place and sat him down to milk the bleating ewes in proper order, put the lambs to suck, and swiftly ran through all his evening chores. Then he caught 2 more men and feasted on them. My moment was at hand, and I went forward holding an ivy bowl of my dark drink, looking up, saying, Cyclops, try some wine. Here's liquor to wash down your scraps of men. Taste it and see the kind of drink we carried under our planks. I meant it for an offering if you would help us home, but you were mad, unbearable, a bloody monster. After this, will any other traveler come see you? He seized and drained the bowl, and it went down so fiery and smooth he called for more. Give me another, thank you kindly. Tell me, how are you called? I'll make a gift will please you. Even Cyclopes know the wine grapes grow out of grassland and loam in heaven's rain, but here's a bit of nectar and ambrosia. The Cyclops is saying, hey, what's your name? I'm going to do you a solid, because this is really good wine. Even though we Cyclopes don't make wine, We know good wine when we drink it, somehow. Here's question number 13. Why do you think Odysseus decided to talk with the monster even though it had eaten many of his friends? Why would Odysseus bother to talk to this monster even though the monster has already eaten, I think, 6 dudes? And he brought 12 dudes with him? So he's, half his guys are gone. Odysseus is thinking, boy, this is getting pretty scary. I think I'm going to go talk to him and give him some wine. Why would he do that? Let's see. We have our, 3 bowls I brought him, and he poured them down. I saw the fuddle and flush come over him. Then I sang out in cordial tones. In other words, Cyclops returns to his cave in the evening. He finishes his evening chores and eats more of Odysseus's men. Then Odysseus offers him some of the wine he had brought. And remember when we talked about how fancy that wine was? We had a whole question about it. How do we know that wine is so fancy? How do we know it's so valuable? It's because it was really, really strong. So think about what that's doing to Cyclops. Cyclops drinks 3 bowls. Cyclops, you ask my honorable name? Remember the gift you promised me, and I shall tell you. My name is Nobody. Mother, father, and friends, everybody calls me Nobody. And he said, Nobody's my meat then, after I eat his friends. Others come first. There's a noble gift now. Number 14, since this is a read aloud video, is kind of a redundant question. It says, say the name Nobody out loud. What word does nobody sound like? Well, it sounds like nobody. Obviously. So he's telling the Cyclops that his name is Nobody. And the Cyclops buys it because he's drunk.
Oh, hey there, Cyclops. What's new?
Oh, monster stuff. Taking care of my sheepies and all that. Who wants to know?
Well, here's the thing. We had this super fancy wine with us to give as a gift in case we found anyone who could help us out, but instead I guess you're going to just eat all of us. So it seems like I might as well just go ahead and give this to you now, since I'm so horribly scared and terrified of your mean, nasty badness.
Yeah, well, I am pretty mean and nasty, and I like to eat people, and I'm terrible all around, so that sounds about right. Here, give me that. I'm gonna take a drink. Oh, man, that's pretty good. Hey, what'd you say your name was?
Oh, me? My name is Nobody. That's what everybody calls me. Nobody is my name. So when people say, hey, Nobody, I'm like, yeah, what's up?
Well, all right then, Nobody. I'm gonna do you a solid. I'm gonna eat you last. What a mean and nasty thing for me to say and call that a favor. Man, I'm such a bad dude. I'm so good at being bad. Oh, this stuff's pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe I should take a nap, because this stuff's pretty strong, really. It's kind of going to my head. I'm gonna take a nap.
Even as he spoke, he reeled and tumbled backward, his great head lolling to one side, and sleep took him like any creature. Drunk, hiccuping, he dribbled streams of liquor and bits of men. Now, by the gods, I drove my big hand spike deep in the embers, charring it again, and cheered my men along with battle talk to keep their courage up. No quitting now. The pike of olive, green though it had been, reddened and glowed as if about to catch. I drew it from the coals, and my 4 fellows gave me a hand, lugging it near the Cyclops, as more than natural force moved them. In other words, Odysseus tells the monster that his name is Nobody. The Cyclops gets drunk and goes to sleep. While he's asleep, Odysseus and 4 of his men heat up the sharp pike or stake in the fire. Straight forward they sprinted, lifted it, and rammed it deep in his crater eye, and I leaned on it, using it as a shipwright turns a drill in planking, having men below to swing the two-handled strap that spins it in the groove. So with our brand we bored that great eye socket while blood ran out around the red-hot bar. Eyelid and lash were seared, the pierced ball hissed broiling, and the roots popped. In a smithy one sees a white-hot axe head or an adze plunged and wrung in a cold tub, screeching steam, the way they make soft iron hale and hard. Just so that eyeball hissed around the spike. It's gruesome, right? They plunge they heat up they heat up their stick and they poke it in the Cyclops' eye, and they describe how it's hissing and popping and it's just so gross if you really think about it and picture it. So number 15. Epic similes have longer, more detailed comparisons than regular similes. What are the two things being compared in the previous passage? Well, one thing is the Cyclops, who's had this thing stuck in his eye, and it's all hissing and popping. And then they're talking about things made out of metal that are being dunked into water so that they can be cooled down and hardened. You may know what that is, what craft it is, where we're making things out of metal and dunking them in water after we heat them up to make them, to cool them off, which realigns the crystal structure of the metal so that it hardens. Do you know what trade that is? If you do, write it down. If you don't, take your best guess. It's okay. We'll go over it eventually. The Cyclops bellowed, and the rock roared around him, and we fell back in fear. Clawing his face, he tugged the bloody spike out of his eye, threw it away, and his wild hands went groping. Then he set up a howl for Cyclopes who lived in the caves on windy peaks nearby.
Quick, where's the stick?
Here.
Great, one moment. Okay, 3, 2, 1, stab!
Oh gosh, you got me in the eye. Oh my gosh, my eye's all ruined. I've lost my eye. I can't see anything. What on earth is going on? Ah!
Number 16. Reread the last passage and write down any words or phrases that appeal to your senses of hearing. So let's go back and look at it again. The Cyclops, he bellowed, and the rock roared around him, and we fell back in fear. Clawing his eye, he tugged the bloody spike out of his eye, threw it away, and his wild hands went groping. Then he set up a howl for Cyclopes, who lived in the caves on windy peaks nearby. Which of those words that I just read are describing something that you would hear? That's the question. Some heard him, and they came by diverse ways to clump around outside and call, "What ails you, Polyphemus? Why do you cry so sore in the starry night? You will not let us sleep." Sure no man's driving off your flock? No man has tricked you or ruined you? Out of the cave the mammoth Polyphemus roared in answer, "Nobody! Nobody's tricked me! Nobody's ruined me!" To this rough shout they made a sage reply, "Ah, well, if nobody played you foul there in your lonely bed, we are no use in pain given by great Zeus. Let it be your father, Poseidon Lord, to whom you pray." Now, earlier in the story, number 17, Odysseus lied about his name. How has the lie paid off, and how is this a trait of an epic hero? He lied. He said, "My name isn't Odysseus, it's nobody." And how has that paid off now? What would have happened if we were like, "Odysseus has ruined me. Odysseus made my eye go away"? What do you think maybe would have happened differently there?
My eye is ruined. I am ruined. Oh, this is terrible. Oh my gosh.
Man, you sure are making an awful big racket. What happened to you?
My eye's been poked out, and now I'm ruined, and my life's gonna be really, really bad from now on.
Gee, bud, that's terrible. Who did that to you?
It was nobody. Nobody ruined me. Nobody poked out my eye. Nobody did this to me. It was nobody.
Gee, bud, that's too bad. Sounds like an accident. Not a whole lot I can do to help if it was, the will of Zeus and all. You best go pray to your daddy, Poseidon. Bye.
Oh, shucks. Oh.
And what the other cyclopes here are saying basically is, well, if nobody did this to you, then it was the will of Zeus, and we're not going to do anything about that. So I guess you need to go pray to your dad, who is another god. And that's what they say. It's like, well, if Zeus did it to you, nothing we can do about it. So saying, they trailed away, and I was filled with laughter to see how like a charm the name had deceived them. Now Cyclops, wheezing as the pain came on him, fumbled to wrench away the great doorstone, and squatted on the breach with arms thrown wide for any silly beast or man who bolted, hoping somehow I might be such a fool.
All right there, nobody. Come on. I'll move the big rock now. You just try and get out. I'm gonna stand right here. And then if any of y'all little snacky, tasty dudes try to get out, I'm gonna grab you and I'm gonna eat you. Nom, 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 nom. Come on. Take your best shot. Ah.
But I kept thinking how to win the game. Death sat there huge. How could we slip away? I drew on all my wits and ran through tactics, reasoning as a man will for dear life, until a trick came, and it pleased me well. The Cyclops' rams were handsome, fat, with heavy fleeces, a dark violet.
So what now, boss?
I have a fabulous idea.
Number 18. Below are 4 reasons Odysseus might be considered an epic hero. He has great strength, he has great intelligence, he is helped by the gods, and he is harmed by the gods. Which of the 4 reasons is best supported by the information in the previous passage? In other words, what I just read today supports your answer. So which of those things? So choose. We're mostly looking at his great strength, his great intelligence, how he's been helped directly by the gods, and how he's been harmed directly by the gods. Keep in mind that the Cyclops is not one of the gods. He's a monster, but he's not a god. He's the son of a god, Poseidon, but he is not a god himself. So are any of the actual gods, Zeus or Poseidon, characters here who are directly intervening to help him or hurt him? I don't think so. That's not your answer. C or D is not the answer. However, we're looking at his great strength and his great intelligence. He did strong things like poking out the Cyclops' eye. He did smart things like tricking the Cyclops. Which of those 2 things do you think we're focused on more in this passage that I read today? So that's going to be number 18. Okay. That's the Odyssey Part 2. Next week, we'll do the Odyssey Part 3. TTFN. Ta-ta for now.